All right. Steve M wants Carrillo over Waddle's hands. Well, you guys are really taking it hard there on Waddle. Good evening, sir. How are you doing, my friend? How was that locker room?
Oh man, hyped. They were playing "Not Like Us" by Kendrick Lamar in there, so a little bit of LA flavor. And what a win for this team! One that was needed. Defense stepped up to bounce back from some mistakes, but
Oh
I
God,
mean, Dolphins
Jesus
won with just
Christ.
238 yards of offense, which so it was big to see Anthony Weaver's unit step back up after the last two had the team in some shootouts that didn't go their way.
Yeah, I was happy. The defense won this game.
Yeah.
Basically, they played their asses off, and when you watch a guy like Sealer, you watch Calais Campbell playing their asses off. It was nice to see Holland get a sack and Chop Robinson get a sack, and it was just overall Jalen Ramsey's effort. You see that I know the defense was much maligned and they should be criticized. What's gone on the last couple of weeks overall, but today they certainly did their part in this victory.
Absolutely, from every respect of it. First, just keeping this Rams offense out of the end zone, which we know that when Matt Stafford has Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and that since he's had them together, then Demarcus Robinson has also gotten it going, and you're always going to get a heavy dose of Kyron Williams. To stop the run enough where they couldn't just keep going and play with a lead. So you didn't really have them going with 20 carries as he usually does in a game. So and then the pass rush finally getting going. So different guys coming in for sacks, and even they ended up with four, but Jordan Brooks also had one on the high snap that doesn't actually go his way as a sack, but I mean that's another one. And Calais Campbell getting his hands on tipping passes. Deshaun Hand forcing the fumble, so much that this defense did well, and even as the secondary got a little depleted too, because now Kendall Fuller went out. There was a moment where Cole went out and back in, so you went a little back into that depth with Cam Smith and Saran Neal, but still, I mean, held it together, didn't let them get into the end zone. Rams weren't going to beat the Dolphins with just field goals.
No, I'm with you there. Now, as for Tua, I'm a big Tua guy, bro, and all that, but he continues to hold on to the ball, taking sacks that he shouldn't, which also puts him at injury risk because that's what's happened to him in the past. Then he throws an interception that he's off balance, that he shouldn't have thrown in a window that he had no chance of getting it through. And then he decides to take on the tackler, which is, again, a really stupid thing to do. There was a couple of other things that he did in this game. Oh, the fumble also in one of those sacks. He didn't take care of the fumble. He didn't take care of the ball, so he fumbled. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on that he refuses to make good decisions and doesn't really understand who he is. That he's not an athlete. That he's not a football player. What do you do with that, dude?
Yeah. Well, he's a guy that he plays with a lot of heart, so he tries to do things that sometimes he's just quite frankly not capable of doing. So he's trying to do more than what he should be doing, what he's truly capable of in an NFL setting. Maybe if he was playing other levels of football, yeah, he could go and do all this shit. But against grown ass men in the NFL, then some of this stuff you have to be smarter about. So he had a bad stretch in the second quarter of just a lot of poor decisions, whether it was the interception where he started looking left and then he threw across his body toward the middle with Rose Boom right there, and then just seconds later making the ill-advised decision to get down. I talked to him post game at the podium. He said it was the worst tackling for him indeed, and as it should be. Mike McDaniel said the best way to avoid putting yourself at risk with a tackle is to not throw the interception to begin with. So that would be number one. But I think he was trying to just say, hey, I'm going to put my shoulder, I'm putting my head to the side so it's not in the way. But then still you end up getting the leg kicking forward as Rose Boom is running, sort of kicked him on the side of the head/neck area. But I know afterwards there was some speculation because that's when a lot of the other bad decisions were going on, holding on to the ball, but there was never any evaluation. But it just came back from the second half and put a finer performance together, spread the ball out, was that point guard of the offense, as you know, just took what the defense gave him. So I did like to see that from him in the second half, the way he bounced back from what was a stretch of some poor decisions in the second quarter.
So have they figured out McDaniel? Because now they're playing that cover two shell and they basically are keeping everything in front and there's no explosiveness anymore in the offense.
Yeah, there isn't, but then I mean it's a game of adjustment. So then now, yes, take what the defense gives you, and uh, you put up a lot of points in Buffalo as you knew that's what you were going to face. Uh, wasn't enough to win that game with the way the defense played in the second half and the way a kicker made a 61-yard field goal, but it was just good enough with the way the defense played in this one to score 23 points. But still, just 238 yards of offense. So that's normally not going to get it done. But in a game where the Rams themselves kept shooting themselves in the foot just as much, and there was a stretch of just a hot potato with the ball, just giving it right back whenever a team got it, then it was enough in that case, and enough red zone stops for the Dolphins. But yeah, it's a case of they got to take what the defense gives them, get to a point where then they play them more honest, and then get those explosive plays back, because right now teams are finding success in just saying that we're going to play that cover two shell, and it's going to be a lot of attention on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Well, you're not going to win a lot of games. You did this time. You won this game because you're playing a bad team in the Rams, but you won. You had 67 yards on the ground. If you're going to play the kind of ball you need to play with Tua, you need to give him that play action. You need to make the running game a threat. And to me, that was the other thing that you were kind of playing with fire today. You weren't good enough in the running game, and you've got to be more like you were in the last month.
Yeah, you need to find that success in the ground game. It didn't happen this game. I'll have to look at more into why that was the case.
Lamb, the right tackle looked like it was a little
Well,
bit of
yeah,
a
that's a big one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right,
yeah,
that's what happens with Austin Jackson going out. He's now on IR, so it's going to be that way for at least 3 more games.
Is that Kendall also to defend Kendall here, and I have to defend him. He's really more of a left than a right, actually. And that's kind of unfair to him. He's really not a swing tackle. He's really a left tackle. But in this case, they've got Paul practicing on the left side and ready, and so that's kind of where they've been practicing him. But Kendall's kind of being a team guy here, because right tackle, we've always known that it's kind of a little bit of a struggle for him, right? Correct?
Yeah, there's that. And then even when he went out, and we actually did see Patrick Paul have to go and play right tackle too momentarily before Lamb went back in. So Paul, he could be thrust into action there too at a moment's notice, even though he's practiced more on the left side.
Yeah, I just don't know enough about Paul just as a rookie or overall on his left or right, but at least I know his history with Kendall, and I know that Kendall thrives more on the left than he does on the right. So I give him a little bit of a break there, because he's just kind of being a good teammate right now, and being a good, just doing whatever the team, needs to get done. Your thoughts, what hopium do you have for everybody out there right now?
Well, exactly what I was saying is you win this game, which is road in prime time. You called the Rams, what'd you say, a bad team earlier, but
Yeah.
I mean, this was a team that had won 3 straight. They're a different team with Stafford throwing to Nakua and Cooper Kupp, having both of them together with DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, great Miami high school football player from down here. So I mean, they have a lot of weapons. And this team had fought back to 500. They were kind of rolling going into this game and coming off some dramatic wins too. So it was going to take a gutsy, gritty effort to beat this team, and that's exactly what the Dolphins did. So road wins against, you say bad team, but I mean it's a team that was in the playoffs last year, had gotten on a roll, and in primetime, which the Dolphins don't win a lot of primetime games on the road. So checked a lot of boxes. Where now, what are your next 2? You're back home. You're playing the Raiders. You're playing the Patriots. These are teams you should handle easily at home. And I know there's many reasons why it might not go that way, but it's what should happen. What this Dolphins team should be capable of doing. And that gets you to 5-6 going into Green Bay on Thanksgiving. So, and right now they're only 1.5 games out of the 7th playoff spot, with the Denver Broncos holding it right now at 5-5. Granted, there's a lot of other teams in the mix, but you have 2 games against the Jets, which are one of the teams that are trying to get back in there. Actually, now the Dolphins are ahead of them because the Jets just lost and they're 3-7. But still, there's still a lot that the Dolphins can control in an AFC where that final playoff spot doesn't look like it's going to be a very good record.
By the way, what's it called? There are 3 wins that you're talking about. They beat the Raiders, they beat Seattle, and they beat the Vikings. Okay, the Vikings are a decent team. They're not easy to beat, but beating the Raiders in Seattle, let's not get too crazy about that.
Seattle on the road, and that's a tough stadium to play
in overtime. I mean, if Miami had a real coach, they would have won in Seattle too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but backup quarterback is tough to play in that environment too. Is another thing.
No, well, but you should have had your backup quarterback ready for.
Yeah.
The guy was around you for a couple of years. Come on, bro. You got to have him better prepared than that. That was more an indictment on him than on.
Or have a better option. Have a better option as your backup quarterback.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yes, that's another topic that was definitely a huge failure for them that they didn't get that. All right, so what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, sir?
Yeah, just following up on this game, wrapping up coverage, and just turning it over. 1 week into the next, it'll be a short week. So, following up on the Tyreek Hill news too, how he was able to get through this one. And now it'll be checking in on things like Kendall Fuller and his concussion protocol, and just moving it on. In-N-Out burgers after this? Oh man, I got to do that before. I got one last chance, and that would be tonight. So, all right. Let me see if I get that done. All right. Follow him on Twitter at @DavidFurones_ and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Thank you. You got it. Welt Rheaume. Oh, Jeff Welt, Daniel Rheaume. They can perform a lot better than Kendall Lamb did at right tackle today. In fact, they're going to be absolutely outstanding, all-pro, all-world tackles for you and bulldogs when it comes to the courtroom. So call them, 954-966-4646. We saw it firsthand when they took on Progressive for us, because Progressive was not being cooperative. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do, like live up to your responsibilities. Well, Welt Rheaume brought them to their knees, and they lived up to their responsibility. And now I have seen it firsthand, right? Many of our listeners now over the last couple of years have called Welt Rheaume, and they're all happy. I get the texts, the DMs all the time. Hey, thank you for turning me on to Welt Rheaume. I heard them on your show. I called them. They took care of me, yada, 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 all of that. And they've done it for bankruptcy. They've done it for condo damage, for homeowner property damage, all of those kind of things, folks. No criminal defense yet. None of our listeners have called for criminal defense, or maybe we haven't found out about it. Personal injury, commercial litigation, all kinds of options. So call Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, and the consultation is completely free. So you want to find out if you have a case? Call them, 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.